So we are discussing about the
Ma'am,
picture.
Hello, ma'am.
Abhishek Singh,
So many people are now here.
Ma'am, Sakni.
you were already taking, so I didn't disturb you at that time.
So why you are not talking? You have to tell me now because I cannot see you. Wait. Abhishek and
Ma'am,
Shagnik.
Sakni. Yes, ma'am.
Shagnik. Okay, fine. Done, huh? Acha. So I think I have shared my screen already, na?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So we are discussing about the Heckscher-Ohlin model. We have proved the Heckscher-Ohlin model. Uh, physic. What can I say? The price definition with the help of the price definition. Then we discuss about the factor price equal. This is the mathematical derivation of the HO model. Then the factor price equalization we are discussing, right? And for this, actually now we are in the overlapping zone discussion. Okay, so this part I have discussed already in the last class. Tell me your problem from my discussion and then I will start the new one. If you have any problem up to this point, you can ask now.
No, ma'am, no problem.
So let me go to this one. Now look, in this diagram there are two axes. The first axis, actually there are three axes, two um, quadrant. So the first quadrant, the W by R and here L by K, which we already discussed in the last class. And this is for the X commodity, this is for the Y commodity. And in the second quadrant, we are trying to find out the relation between W by R and PX by PY. And we know what is the relation. We know there is one-to-one correspondence between the wage rental ratio and the relative price, right? So that is why this brown line through origin, this line is showing the one-to-one relationship between W by R and PX by PY. That means if PX by PY is rising, then W by R should rise. Okay, so this is the relationship we have. Now consider a country, maybe home country, maybe foreign country, we don't know. Take any country. So the labor capital ratio of that country is L by K. Okay, the amount of labor divided by amount of capital in the country. So this is L by K. Fine. Now look, this L by K, if I just make a vertical line from this L by K, it is giving you a stretch. The stretch is actually the RS. Okay. So the stretch is RS. It is said the wage rental ratio should be within RS, as we said here already. This RS, right? The wage rental ratio should be within RS. If it is above R, then there will be excess supply of labor. If it is below S, then there will be excess demand for labor, and that will definitely change the relative price of the factor, and ultimately the wage rental ratio will be within RS. So, and RS means what? RS means ultimately both. Ultimately, the country is producing both the commodities. Fine. So, wage rental ratio, the range for the wage rental ratio of this country is RS. So if it is RS, then what is the price range? Okay, what is the relative price range of the country? So that the country will produce both the commodities, that means it will have incomplete specialization. So many sound is coming. Just a minute, give me 1 minute. Okay. So the relative price is Px by Py1, Px by Py2. Okay. So that will be the price range for the country. if the autarky price, what I want to say, if the autarky price is within this range, look at the pointer, if the autarky price of the country is within this range, then the country is producing both the commodities at the autarky. If international terms of trade is within this range, then after trade, the country will produce both. Okay, so this is the significance of this price range PXPY1 to PXPY2. Okay, so this is the importance of this price range. If price, it may be autarky price, it may be international terms of trade, whatever it is, if the terms autarky terms of trade or international terms of trade, if any of these or both, they will be within this range, then the country will produce both commodities. Fine. So this is the background. Now, given this background, till now we have not discussed about overlapping zone. Okay, there is no overlapping zone. We are just showing the range of the wage rental ratio or the price ratio, so that the country will produce both the commodities. That much. Okay. Now here we are having the overlapping zone. Look, overlap, we all know what is overlapping. Overlapping means one zone is on the another zone, right? It is overlapped. Hmm. So here we have to introduce two countries, L by A of country A and L by K of country B. Okay, and as we assume country A is labor abundant, so definitely L by K of country A is greater than that of country B. Okay, so this is according to our assumption, and these are the labor endowment ratio, labor capital endowment ratio for both the countries. Hmm. Now, given this, you can see, just go through my cursor, then you can understand. For country A, the wage rental ratio should vary within this green line and this faded blue line, right? So this is the range of wage rental ratio for country A. Similarly, for country B, the wage rental ratio is within this faded green blue line and the dark red line. Okay, so this is the um, available wage rental ratio for country B, right? So this one for country A, this one for country B. If you look at this diagram carefully, you can see that the area, that is the green to red line, this wage rental ratio is common for both. Okay, this wage rental ratio is common for both, because look, for the home country or for country A, it is from this green line to this faded blue line. For country B, it is from the red line to this faded green line. So this range, that is from green to red, this range of W by R, this is within the range of both the countries. Okay, so this wage rental ratio, the wage rental ratio within this range is called the overlapping zone. This is your overlapping zone. Fine. So this is your overlapping zone. The when the common wage rental area is there. Okay, the common wage rental area of both the country is called the overlapping zone. Now look, if the international terms of trade is px by py star, if international terms of trade is px by py star, then the wage rental ratio will be w by r star. And as it is within the overlapping zone, just check carefully, both countries can produce both. Okay, as it is in the zone within the country A, so country A can produce both. As it is within the range of country B, so country B can produce both. So we can say that after trade, that is at international terms of trade, both countries will go for incomplete specialization. Okay, so this is the significance of the overlapping zone. Okay, any problem from this diagram?
Ma'am, can you tell like how to draw this diagram, like the points and the like? It's very complex to draw this
No,
actually.
no, no, not very complex. At first, you have to draw. First of all, you have to make this two quadrant. Fine. Then draw this straight line. Done. then these two x and y lines. So this is your structure, skeleton. Okay, x, y, and this brown line. Done. Then after you have to draw. Remember one thing: when you know that you have to make the overlapping zone, then you have to draw these two yellow line very close to each other. Okay, if they are very much deviated, the variability is very high, then it is very difficult to find the overlapping zone. Okay, so in that case, look, they are very close to each other. L by ka and L by kb, they are very close. Then only you will get that overlapping zone. Okay, I will show you a lot of this type of diagram. There you can see you may not have the overlapping zone when these two yellow lines are very much deviated. Once they are very much close to each other, look, for country A, this is the range. The yellow line is touching x at a point and y at a point. So just make two horizontal lines from these 2 points. This is the range of W by R for country A. Similarly, for country B, this yellow line for country B, it is also touching country A at x at a point and for commodity Y at a point. So draw two parallel horizontal lines from these 2 points. So this will give you wage rental variation for country B. And you can check. Just I suggest you that you should draw this diagram in your own copy now. If you tell me I can wait for some time, just draw it in your own copy. In the offline class, I used to draw it in the whiteboard and student used to draw in their own copy at the same time. So that is a practice at the offline mode. But as it is online and I have to do it prior to the class, so it is here. So I'm giving you the time, and take my suggestion that take L by KA and L by KB close to each other, and then try to find out W by R variation for both the countries. You can get your overlapping zone then. Take your time, the diagram in your copy, and then it will be easier. Do it. I'm waiting for 2 minutes, or okay, 1 minute. Just follow this diagram. Just draw the same diagram. Look at the diagram and try to draw it. Just remember one thing: L by Ka and L by Kb very close to each other.
Ma'am, what about that those light blue lines?
No, this light blue, that means this faded one, na? So
Yes, ma'am.
these are just showing the range. As this is the diagram to show the overlapping zone, that is why I have not drawn it a very dark one. That will be more complicated. Okay, so this is showing the range. This line and this line, this is the range for, this is actually this one. Okay, this is the range of W by R for country A. And this one from red to this faded, this is the range of W by R for country B. Just to show the range, I have drawn these faded blue lines.
So, ma'am, those are touching the edges of the curves, right?
Yes, yes. This vertical line is intersecting, actually. The vertical line is intersecting X and Y lines. So you have to draw two horizontal lines from those intersection points. It's like that. If I can draw now, that will be better. দেখো আমি একটা আঁকছি. It's like that. I'm just using 2 quadrant. So this is for Y and this is for X. Fine. So say this is my L by K. So look, this vertical line is intersecting X and Y lines at 2 points. So you have to make, say this is L by K of country A. Fine. This is L by K of country A. So this is your green line. According to my diagram, this is the green line. Okay. According to my diagram, this is the green line. And this is the faded blue line. Just to show what is the W by R range for country A? And same thing you can do for country B. So here you can here you can do it like this. So, not so close, but okay, fine. This is for country B.
And ma'am, that middle blue line that is coinciding with W by
Oh,
R.
oh, oh, no. This one. This is just showing the W by the line corresponding to W by R star. Okay. The international wage rental ratio.
Okay, ma'am.
The total demand for L by K for commodity Y and for commodity X at W by R star. And look, they are two different side of the availability of L by K of both the countries. One is here, just a minute. One faded line is here, another faded line is here. So demand for L by K of commodity X as a whole is to the extreme right, and demand for L by K for commodity Y to the extreme right, left and extreme right. Okay, so within this range you have the labor capital availability of both the countries. That is why there is full employment. Otherwise, either there will be excess demand or excess supply of any of the inputs.
Okay, ma'am.
I suggest you that you please draw this diagram in your copy. Ultimately, you have to draw your own diagram in your exam, no? So it's better to practice. Try to draw it. You may face some problem, and then ask me. I will try to give you the solution. But just try to remember one thing. These two labor capital availability should be very close to each other. Then only it will be easy for you to find out overlapping zone. Because here your objective is to get the overlapping zone. That is why.
Ma'am,
Yes.
why should be more convex to the origin?
Which one? These two lines.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Just the Y curve.
Oh, no. They should be parallel to each other. And this is drawn by me. Maybe some mistake, but they are parallel to each other. Convexity is not so important here. You can draw just the downward sloping straight line. That will also work. It is just showing the inverse relation between W by R and L by K, that much.
Okay, ma'am.
In some diagram, in some books, you can find these lines are just straight line downward sloping. So that is not an issue.
And ma'am, what does the upward sloping straight line representing in the second quadrant?
Oh, that is showing the one-to-one correspondence between the W by R and Px by Py. We prove it, na? Look here. We prove there is one-to-one correspondence. No, here, this one. Here. There is a one-to-one relationship between Px by Py and W by R. That means if Px by Py is rising, then W by R should rise. Right? So that relationship is shown here by this upward rising straight line from the origin.
Okay, ma'am.
Again, the slope doesn't matter here. It may be 30 degree, it may be 45 degree, 60 degree, whatever, but it should be positively upward rising straight line.
It's done, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now here. At the equilibrium, we know wage is equal to VMPL, right? So this is true for wage and this is true for rent as well, right? VMPL and VMPK if it is rent. So for both the commodity, this relationship is true at the equilibrium. Now look at the third bullet. As W by R is equal between the countries after trade, right? Because after trade, if there is overlapping zone, then after trade, W by R for both the country, because after trade, Px by Py for both the countries will be Px by Py star, right? That is the international terms of trade. And as they are following international terms of trade, they are getting W by R star, that is common for both. Okay, both countries after trade, both countries are getting W by R star. So as W by R is equal for both the countries after trade, so K by L is also equal between the countries after for each commodity. Okay, K by L is also equal between countries for each commodity, like this. As you are asking, na, why this line? So this is K by L after trade for both the country for Y commodity. This is K by L for both the countries for commodity X after trade. Hmm. Now, so what can I write if I follow this thing? If I accept bullet 3, then I can write K by L of commodity I in country A is equal to K by L commodity I in country B. So this is what written here. Now, as we assume there is CRS production function, so we can say easily that okay, then MPL and MPK, these are the function of K by L. Now, as K by L are equal, so MPL and MPK, they are also equal, right? And as MPL and MPK, these are equal, then W by PX in home country or country A is equal to W by PX of the foreign country. Similarly, R by Px of the home country is equal to R by Py of the foreign country. So the real reward are equal for both the countries. Now commodity prices are equal between the countries after trade. What will be the situation? Px of the home country is equal to Py of the foreign country. Okay. So as real reward means what? W by P. So if P's are equal, then W's are also equal. Look, W by P, this is equal for both the countries. P are equal, then W's are also equal. Okay, so absolute factor prices are also equal. This is the beauty of the theory. There is no movement of factors between the countries. Factors cannot move between the countries. Okay, they have to be within its own country. But after trade, after getting international terms of trade, the labor, the wage of the labor in country A is equal to wage of the labor in country B. Okay. First of all, W by P, that is equal. And as P's are equal, then W's are equal. Similarly, R by P for both the countries are equal. But as P's are equal, then R's are also equal. So this is how W of country A is equal to W of country B. R of country A is equal to R of country B. So absolute factor prices are also becoming equal after trade. Okay, so this is how you are getting factor price equalization. The trade is helping you to equalize the factor prices. You are not moving your factors, you are moving your commodities, the final products. But through this movement, factor prices between the countries will become equal. Okay, so look at this and give me 1 minute. Huh? Just check it. I'm showing it again. I'm coming back after 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. I'm coming back. Just a minute. Yes, your problem from this slide?
Ma'am,
Yes.
can we say that after trade, the trade operations in both the countries is operating as if the trade operation in a single country?
Exactly. It's just like a single country. It will be a single country. Prices are same, wage are same, everything is same. So yes, that is the the global. We are considering a global country. So it's like that.
Okay, ma'am.
Global economy. It's just like it will be a single country. There will be no difference in terms of prices of the commodity, in terms of wage rental values. So in that sense, it's just like a single country. So that is the importance, that is the strength of this model. Okay, so the model is not talking anything about the wage rental ratio. Okay, it's only about the pattern of trade, right? If you are abundant with labor, you should produce more labor intensive commodity and export it. That much, the model is only that much. But the implication, the importance of the model is that finally you can find out the factor prices that will be equal, and the absolute factor prices, not only the relative one, the absolute factor prices, that will also be same for both the countries. Okay, so this is the factor price equalization. Now look, so if it is clear, so we actually talking about the factor price equalization theorem, and for that we introduce the concept of overlapping zone, and we use the idea which already discussed about that one-to-one correspondence. With the help of these two important things, we have finally come to the conclusion that okay, absolute factor prices will be equal after trade. So then we are going to some uh, exceptional cases. Okay, these are the general sections. Now we are going to the exceptional cases. Look, this is the complete specialization. When we talking about the Hexerolin model, we said repeatedly that Hexerolin model is telling us that after trade, the countries will go for incomplete specialization. That means both countries can produce both the commodities. But is it true always? Answer is no. You may have, you may not have this conclusion. Huh? You may have complete specialization. Look, this is the complete specialization. When you will get, why you will get the complete specialization? Just like Ricardo, complete specialization means after trade both countries are producing a single commodity, not both commodities. Fine. So here we have this thing. Look, here, as I said, when I said to draw you the earlier diagram, I said repeatedly that L by Ka and L by Kb, draw them very close to each other. Here, they are very much deviated. The variation is very high. Okay, look at the gap. It's significantly different. And that is why what happened, overlapping zone is not here. The overlapping W by R is not here. Look, this is the W by R range for country A, and this is the W by R range for country B. There is no overlapping zone. It may possible. It may possible. Because there is no such, there is no such condition that okay, every time you must have, you will have an overlapping zone. No, you may not have. So here it is. There is no overlapping zone. Now the question is, if there is no overlapping zone, will there be any trade? The answer is why not? Why not? Look, there is trade. Labor capital availability is different. So the countries are producing according to the HO model and they are trading. And as there is trade, so there will be px by py star. I have to write here px by py and all. So as it is a repetitive work, no, so I am not writing anyway. So when you will write it in your copy, definitely you should write it px by py star. It is here. And as px by py star is here, w by r star is here. Look, what is the speciality of this w by r star? It is not within w by r range of any of these countries. W by R star is not within the range of any of these two countries. This is the W by R star range for country B, and this is the W by R star range of country A. W by R star is not within that, not of any of the range. Hmm. Then what country will decide? Look, as this is the W by R star, both countries are trying to reach there, right? Because they are following px by py star. They are facing px by py star. So they are trying to reach to W by R star as well. Now, when country A is trying to go to W by R star, what is the maximum W by R he can achieve? This is the maximum, right? This is the maximum W by R he can achieve, right? And if he is at, so he is here, he's trying to go to W by R star, but as he cannot reach to that point, max to max he can go here. So he is here, fine. As he is here, then look, with all its resources, he is producing only X. And X is assumed as labor intensive. So look, country A, which is relatively labor abundant, is producing relatively labor intensive commodity. So this is what HO model is telling you, right? But he is producing only X. That is the only speciality. HO model is telling you that you can produce more of labor intensive commodity, but here country A is producing only labor intensive commodity. Fine. So that is a speciality. Now what about country B? Again, country B is also trying to come back to W by R star, but he cannot. So max to max he can come to this level. And as he is following this wage rental ratio, that means with all of its resources, he is producing only Y, and Y is capital intensive. So again, country B is also following HO theorem. So both countries are following HO theorem that you are labor abundant, you should produce labor intensive commodity more. You are capital abundant, then you should produce capital intensive commodity more. So they are following the theorem. But in addition to that, they are doing something different. What is that? They are producing either of these commodities. Okay. The labor abundant country is producing only labor intensive commodity. Capital abundant country is producing only capital intensive commodity. So they are going for complete specialization with the help of HO theorem. So this is the case of complete specialization under HO theorem. So what is the basic condition behind the complete specialization? There will be no overlapping zone. If there is no overlapping zone and W by R star is within that range where there is no overlapping zone, then only you will have complete specialization. Your question from this diagram?
No, ma'am, no questions.
Anyone else? Now look here. Here also there is no overlapping zone. Here also there is no overlapping zone. This is the wage rental ratio for country A, and this is the wage rental ratio for country B. So there is no overlapping zone. But W by R star is within the range of country B. W by R star is here. Actually, these are different situations. You may have this situation. There is no assumption, there is no such constraint that you can avoid it. It may happen. Okay, so if W by R star is within the W by R range of country B, then you can understand country B will go for incomplete specialization because it is within his range. Hmm. It is within his range. W by R star is within his W by R range. So he will produce both after trade. So country B is going for incomplete specialization. What about country A? As W by R star is not within the range of country A's W by R, so max to max he can go to point A. And at the point A, he is producing only X. So look, here HO theorem is valid. Hmm. Because country A, which is labor abundant, is producing only labor intensive commodity. Country B, which is capital abundant, is producing both the commodities. So it's a mix. Hmm. One country is going for complete specialization, another country is going for incomplete specialization. So, again, what is the basic condition behind this? There is no overlapping zone. Okay, there is no overlapping zone, and your W by R star is here. So, that is how one country is going for complete specialization, another is going for incomplete specialization. Any problem from this diagram?
Ma'am, will there be no line for country B?
No, because this is the range. This is the range of country B. Look, this is the range of W by R for country B, right? This and this. This is the range of W by R for country B. And after trade, it is seen that W by R star is within this range for country B. So he is going for incomplete specialization. Okay. But for
Okay, ma'am.
country A, the range is here. It's far away from that. Obviously, there is no overlapping zone. Hmm. There is no overlapping zone. This is true. But at the same time, W by R star is not within the range of country A. So he has to go for complete specialization. But country B will go for incomplete specialization. So it's a mixed.
Okay, ma'am.
So these are the different options. This is a special case. So as we have discussed the general thing, so now we are discussing about the special cases. I think this diagram is in Soderstern and Reed. These diagrams are taken from Soderstern and Reed. I think so. Just check it. Okay. So up to this point, is it okay? Any query? So many new things I am discussing.
Can it happen that W by R star and the upper and lower bounds just coincide?
Hmm. Yes, you are talking. I can understand what you are talking. Where is my cursor? Just a minute. You are talking that W by R star is here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. In that case, both countries are going for complete specialization. Country B will produce only Y. Country A will produce only X. But still, there is no overlapping zone. Yes. So many options are there. It's not possible for me to give all the options. These options will come from your head, your mind. Yes, this is another option. W by R star is here. W by R star is here. That is also possible.
Okay, ma'am.
It may be possible that W by R star is here. W by R star is within the range of country A. Then country A will go for incomplete specialization. Country B has to go for complete specialization for Y. So this is another option. But once look, it is also true that you have. It doesn't mean that you have overlapping zone, so all problems are solved. No, you have overlapping zone, but W by R star is here. That is also possible. Hmm? W by R star is here, and you have, say you have like this. Just a minute. Give me where it is. Yes. Say W by R star is here. You look in this diagram, you have overlapping zone, no? Because this is the diagram where I introduced the concept of overlapping zone. So this is the overlapping zone from green line to red line. But say your W by R star is here. Then you have overlapping zone still. Country A will go for complete specialization. So this is another possibility. But for each and every cases, whatever be the case, complete specialization or incomplete specialization, one country, both countries, whatever it is, but HO model is true for each and every case. The country, what is HO model? If you are labor abundant, you should produce labor intensive. If you are capital abundant, you should produce capital intensive. And you should export, you should produce more of that. So this is there. Okay, for each and every diagram is accepting the HO model. It may be complete, it may be incomplete, you may have overlapping, you may not have overlapping zone, whatever. But HO model is true for each and every diagram till now. Okay, up to this diagram, HO model is true. Do you get my point?
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, in exam, what type of questions can come from this? Like,
Yes, yes. No. Look, in the question, it will be very much specified. That draw the diagram with overlapping zone or show there is overlapping zone, but still the countries are not making incomplete specialization. It's like that. So you have to read the question carefully and draw accordingly.
okay, ma'am.
But remember one thing, up to this diagram, whatever I have said to you, HO model is true. There is no violation of HO model. It's not like one is going for complete, another is going for incomplete, so that HO model is violated. That is the country which is labor abundant is producing capital intensive commodity and exporting it. No, it never happened till now. I'm telling you repeatedly, it never happened till now. Okay, I cannot say that it will not happen, but till now it is not happened. Teddy. Okay, so till now it is not true. HO model is always there. Whatever be the situation, HO model is always there up to this slide. Now look, I am going to introduce another new concept that is called factored intensity reversal. Factored intensity reversal. I said once in the last class. Just the concept I have given to you. What is that? Sometimes it is seen in reality that when a commodity has invented, okay, a commodity is just invented. At that point of time, the commodity is very much labor intensive. You need skilled labor force to produce that commodity just at the beginning of the production, right? But when the commodity has its own market, you have to produce a lot. That means the demand has increased significantly. You have to produce the commodity a lot. Then the same commodity is becoming capital intensive. As it's a mass level production, you need a large factory, you have to install so many sophisticated machines and all. So now the production is becoming biased in favor of capital. So a same commodity, at the lower level of production it is labor intensive, at the high level of production it is capital intensive? If it is, then the situation is called factored intensity reversal. Do you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute. Give me 1 minute. Huh? Give me 1 minute. Where is my cursor? Just a minute. Cannot see my cursor. Give me 1 minute. Yes, I am here. Oof. So this is called factor intensity reversal. Do you get the point? How, why it is, and it is, you can understand that it is very much realistic. Hmm. So before that, I said that a commodity is assumed as labor intensive means it is labor intensive throughout the discussion, right? But here we are relaxing that assumption that no, if I assume one commodity as labor intensive, it doesn't mean it is labor intensive throughout its production. It may change its intensity after certain level of production. Okay, and this is called factored intensity reversal. Is it clear to you?
Can you explain the second quadrant?
Oh, the second one. So you are just trying to get the answer from this diagram. Okay, fine. Now look. First, let me explain the first quadrant. Cha. Yes. Look. So x. Look at this. Now these two lines, as I said, you may draw it as a curve. It may draw it as a straight line. So here I am following the simple straight line. Huh? So this is for commodity X, and this green one is for commodity Y, and they're intersecting each other. So you can understand after this level of production, X is becoming labor intensive and Y is becoming capital intensive. Before that, Y was labor intensive and X is capital intensive. Fine. Now look, after up to this point, up to this point of production, when I assume that Y is Y is labor intensive and X is capital intensive, you have px by py and w by r as a positive. That is a one-to-one relationship. If px by py is rising, w by r is rising. That's simple one. Okay, but then after, when that, okay, this is for this range. This positive relationship between px by py and w by r is for this range where x is labor intensive and y is capital intensive, just like before. Here, take any of this diagram. X is assumed as labor intensive, y is assumed as capital intensive, and px by py and w by r, they are positively sloped. Okay, so this is here. X is the brown one, which is labor intensive. Y is the green one, which is capital intensive. And for this range of intensity, Px, Py and W by R, this is positively sloped like before. If it is just opposite, that means here where X is becoming capital intensive and Y is becoming labor intensive. At this situation, what happens? If Px is rising, try to understand. Now X is, for this range, X is capital intensive. For this range, X is capital intensive and Px is rising. So the producer is interested to produce more of X. Px is rising. So interested to produce more of X. That means demand for capital is rising more than labor. Okay, because X is capital intensive now. Okay, so when Px is rising, demand for capital is rising more than demand for labor. So R is rising. Okay, W may rise, but R is rising faster than W. So W by R is falling. Do you get the point? W by R is falling now because R is rising more than, or rather change of R is more than change of W. So that is why W by R is falling now. So if Px by Py is rising for this range, if Px by Py is rising, W by R is falling. Okay, so that is why now the relationship is inverse. One is rising, so another is falling. So now this line is kinked and is becoming inverse relationship. Any problem from this diagram? You may have the problem, please ask.
Can you give an example where a commodity was capital intensive and now it has become labor intensive?
No, actually, look, the opposite is actually true, but the what you are telling, it is in relatively. Okay, it is relatively in sense, in terms of relative way, it is becoming labor intensive now because another commodity is becoming capital intensive now. Why is becoming capital intensive? So relatively X is becoming labor intensive. There may not be any change in X production. Okay, Y production, the Y may be the new commodity in the market. Initially it was labor intensive, and when it is produced at the mass level, it is becoming capital intensive. So as compared to Y, as there is no change in X as such, as compared to Y, after a certain level of production, X is becoming labor intensive. You get the point?
So it is relatively becoming labor intensive.
Exactly. There is no change in X as such. But as compared to Y, it is becoming labor intensive after a certain level of production.
And ma'am, which one is becoming labor intensive, X or Y? Like which one is the new invention?
Y.
Okay, ma'am.
Hmm. So this is factor intensity reversal. Okay, this is just the introduction. Now we are going to apply HO theorem in this situation. So you can understand it's not so easy like Ricardo. Ricardo was much easy as compared to HO because the application of HO is fast. So many wings are there. So this is factor intensity reversal. Now we want to check actually what we are trying to do, why we have introduced it, because we want to check under factor intensity reversal whether HO theorem is true or not. You get the point? We know HO theorem, and we also know that HO theorem is very much dependent on this line, that is the positive line. Okay, one-to-one correspondence between Px by Py and W by R. So it is very much dependent on that. And once you introduce the factor intensity reversal, then one-to-one correspondence is now becoming inverse. Okay. Now we want to check if there is factor intensity reversal, whether HO theorem is true or not. Done? So let me incorporate HO theorem in this reversal diagram. Okay. So here it is. Factor intensity reversal and HO model. The diagram is very much colorful actually. So many colors I have used, but you have to understand. Look what happened. So many things are there, huh? Don't confuse yourself. Just try to understand with me. It will be easier for you to understand them. Look, first of all, this is your reversal. You can understand x and y, they are intersecting, so it's factor intensity reversal thing. And look, in this diagram, actually I had to do a lot of work now for several times. I have to write w by r, px by py, l by k. So I just leave it like you are also doing this in the class now. So just like you, I am following your formula, and I have not written anything in this axis, but try to understand. When you will draw in your final copy, in your exam copy, you must write what you are measuring on this different axis. Okay. So now look, forget about this thing, huh? Forget about this yellow line. Just look at this. L by KA and L by KB. Hmm. The purple line is for L by KA, and the close yellow line L by KB. So this is the initial situation. There is factor intensity reversal, but labor capital ratio, they are to the one side of this intersection point. Okay, these two values are to the one side of this particular intersection point. Now in this range, x is labor intensive, y is capital intensive. Fine. Within this range, x is labor intensive, y is capital intensive. Labor capital ratio of both the countries, they are very much close to each other, so it's quite possible that there is overlapping zone. Fine. So you have everything. You have actually, if L by K are very close to each other and they are to the one side, so they are not facing the problem of this reversal. This situation is not facing the problem of reversal because reversal point is here. They are not here actually. They are after that. Fine. So HO theorem is true here. If L by Ka and L by Kb is to the one side of the reversal point or one side of this intersection point, then X is labor intensive, Y is capital intensive, country A is labor abundant, country B is capital abundant, and country A is going to produce more of X and will export, and country B will produce more of Y and it will export. Okay, so everything is there. So HO model is true in this case. Do you get the point? Forget about this. Don't confuse with this. Just look at these two particular points, this purple line and the close yellow line. If L by Ka and L by Kb, these are here, then HO model is very much true, provided there is factor intensity reversal. Up to this point, is it okay? Take your time. No hurry. Take your time.
What other lines do we need to draw for that part?
The second quadrant.
No, ma'am. What are the lines? No, just the single side where L by KB and L by KA are there. What are the lines do we need to draw?
Nothing. Nothing. Whatever I have drawn is that much. Because everything is very good here, no? You have to just mention that as they are very close to each other, they may have some overlapping zone, And as there is overlapping zone, so they will produce the HO model is applicable here. Now, so this is the easiest situation. Now we are going to a little bit difficult situation. If L by KB is to the other side, L by KB is to the other side of the reversal point, that means now it is not here. Okay, it is not here. Now L by KB is here. So there is a gap. And L by KA is in the one side of the reversal point, and L by KB is to the other side of the reversal point. Then we are going to check whether HO model is true or not. Fine. So look, this is the overlapping, this is the wage rental ratio of country B. This is the wage rental ratio of country A. And this is the reversal point. Fine. Now look what happened. After trade, country A is labor abundant and country A will produce more of X, which is labor intensive, and will export it. What about country B? W by R, look, this is the range of W by R of country B, this is the range of W by R of country A. So W by R star, that should be within this range, in between these two. Right? There is no overlapping zone. True, there is no overlapping zone. So W by R star, if it is within the range of any of this country, then another issue. But if it is not within the range of any of the countries, like here, if W by R star is here like this, W by R star is here, so it is not within the range of any of these countries, then what will happen? Country A will try to go there, but it cannot go up to after this. So he is producing only X. Country A is going for complete specialization for X. And in this range, X is labor intensive. Okay, so the labor abundant country is producing labor intensive commodity. Done. What about country B? Country B is capital intensive. He is also trying to come here, and here he has to stop, right? Because he cannot come back after that, come down after that. So he has to stop here. So he is also producing X. X is capital intensive here. The capital abundant country is producing capital intensive commodity. But what about the trade? Both countries are producing capital intensive. Both countries are producing X only. One is producing X, assuming X as labor intensive. Another country is producing X, assuming X as capital intensive. Then what about the trade? There will be no trade because there is no one who is producing Y. Okay, so there will be no trade. So here, this is the failure of the HO model. This situation cannot be explained by HO model. This is the first time you can see that HO model cannot explain this situation. Then how to solve it? Is there any trade? Will there be any trade? No answer from HO model. Do you get the problem?
Can you explain again the country B part?
Which one?
Country B.
This one.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, this thing. Okay. As I said, your W by R star is here. So it is not within the range of W by R of any of this country. But both countries are trying to follow this W by R star. Then country A is trying to go there. And after this point, he cannot go. Okay. So that means with all its resources, he is producing X. For country A, X is labor intensive. A labor abundant country is producing labor intensive. Done. What about country B? Country B is also trying to come down to W by R star, but after this point he cannot. So he is also producing, for him it is the capital intensive commodity, so he is also producing X. But what about the trade? As there is no one who is producing Y, everyone is producing X, so there will be no exchange, so there will be no trade. So HO model cannot explain this problem, cannot give you the solution of this problem. So HO model fails here. Okay.
And ma'am, how is it determined that the commodity Y is invented by which country?
No, it is not invented. This is not an issue of invention. Now the question is whether there will be any trade or not. That is the thing. Na? Our basic question is trying to find out the pattern of trade or the reason behind the trade. But if the situation is like that, HO model is telling you okay, there will be no one who will produce Y and there will be no trade. So just like Ricardo, just like absolute advantage, if you are productive for both the commodities, you will produce both. So there will be no trade with other countries. So here also, both countries, according to their situation, they are producing X. There is no one who is producing Y. So there will be no trade.
Okay, ma'am.
Everyone is right with their situation. There is nothing wrong. But that may possible. And in that case, you cannot find out the pattern of trade with the help of HO model. Okay. So that is the problem of the HO model. Okay. Whether I will continue or I will stop here, because now I can continue with so many things. Physical definition. Okay, it's better that I will finish that price definition. In the next class, I will start the physical definition. Huh? It will be better. Let me use my another 3 or 4 slides, then I will stop. So this is the factor price equalization under factor intensity reversal. So look here, factor intensity reversal is there. Both labor bar capital, these are to the both sides, so you can understand the situation. You know, this is L by K of country A, this is L by A of country B, and they are to the both different side of the intersection point. So this is the situation. And say the international the wage rental ratio is here. Say wage rental ratio is just at the reversal point. Okay, then what will be the situation? Country A, he will, with all its resources, he will produce the labor intensive commodity. Country B, with all its resources, he will produce Y, that is labor intensive commodity. So here, country B is violating the HO theorem. Country B, which is capital intensive, capital abundant country, is producing labor intensive commodity if it is within this range. So you are not getting factor price equalization under factor intensity reversal. Okay. Now this is a very common question. You generally you can find this question for each alternative year. Non-existence of factored intensity reversal is neither so many complicated look, so many no's are there. Non-existence of factored intensity reversal is neither necessary nor sufficient for factor price equalization. That means to have factor price equalization, that is not to have, rather not to have factor price equalization, factor intensity reversal is not important. Without factor intensity reversal, you may have no factor price equalization. Okay, there is no factor intensity reversal, still there is no factor price equalization. You may have the situation. Look here, this is called not sufficient. Look, there is no factor intensity reversal, everything is very much smooth. But still, as there is no overlapping zone, as there is no overlapping zone, you will never have factor price equalization. Okay, one country may go for complete specialization, both countries will go for complete specialization. Whatever be the situation, factor price equalization is not possible here as there is no overlapping zone. But there is no factor intensity reversal. So factor intensity reversal is not important here. Okay, make yourself clear about this. First of all, you have to understand this statement. Then, not sufficient. Factor intensity reversal is not sufficient not to have factor price equalization. Look at this diagram. Make yourself clear, please.
Ma'am, is it like existence or non-existence? It
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
matter.
Right. Factor intensity reversal is not so important. Whether we are getting factor price equalization or not, there is no such relation between these two. That is the thing actually.
Okay, ma'am.
So this is not sufficient. Now look at not necessary. You have factor intensity reversal in this diagram, but still you have factor price equalization. As I said, they are on the one side of the reversal point. You have overlapping zone, so you are getting factor price equalization. There is a scope to have factor price equalization, but still there is factor intensity reversal. So to get the factor price equalization, there will you don't need factor intensity reversal is not true. You may have factor intensity reversal, still you will get factor price equalization. Okay. So this question is very common. If you go through last 10 years or 20 years question paper, you can find this is very common question. First you have to understand, sometimes look here everything is in terms of no, non-existence, neither necessary nor sufficient. Sometimes it is in the positive way. Okay, কোয়েশ্চেনটা ঘুরিয়ে আসে, যাকে আমরা বাংলায় বলি কোয়েশ্চেনটা ঘুরিয়ে আসে, but the thing is same. Existence of factor effect intensity reversal is sufficient and necessary to have factor price equalization. This type of question may arise. The same thing, actually they are asking you the same answer, but the question is from the different angle. So for not sufficient here and not necessary here. That means if you have factor price if you have factor intensity reversal, still you may have factor price equalization. There may not be factor intensity reversal, and you may not have your factor price equalization. Both are possible. Okay. It's better to draw this diagram in your copy so that when you will revise, you will go through the question paper, at least you can remember that okay, this type of thing was discussed in the class.
Yes, ma'am, it's drawn.
Okay. Okay, then I should stop here. So many things I have discussed already. মাথা সব জাম হয়ে গেছে. So I will discuss the physical definition and the eco model in the next class. Hopefully I can cover. I don't know whether I can, but okay. In the next class I have only one class. No. From the next week, now I will have next class in the next week. So that you will get the new timetable. Probably you may have the new timetable now. So if there is a double period in the next week, then hopefully I can finish the overall discussion on the HO model, because it will be in 2 hours. Okay, and please try to read all those whatever I discussed in the class in your home. Hmm? Otherwise, you at the time of exam na you cannot remember what is this, what is that. Just একটার সাথে একটা মিলেমিশে কি যেন একটা হয়ে যাবে. So it's better to start reading from now. And one more thing,